Once upon a time, there was a man and his wife, and the two of them were very happy together, except for one thing. They had no children. The couple longed for a child. They tried everything, but nothing seemed to work. In their garden, there was a juniper tree, and the wife would often sit under the juniper tree and wish and wish and wish for a child. And one day she spoke her wish aloud. And as we all know, when you say something aloud, well, something might hear you. As she sat there, a berry fell from the juniper tree and landed in her mouth. And as she swallowed it down into her stomach, something began to grow. A baby. But as the baby grew bigger and bigger and stronger, she began to grow weaker and frailer. And at last she knew that she would not live long after this baby was born. So she went to her husband and said, "Husband, please, promise me that my child will not grow up without a mother. When I am gone, you must marry again, and marry a woman who already has a child, so that that child may have a father, and my child may have a mother." Not long after she gave birth to a little baby boy, the woman passed away, and her husband buried her under the juniper tree in their garden. He was saddened at the loss of his wife, but he remembered what she had told him, and so he looked for a new wife, for a woman who already had a child. And living in the village there was a widow who had one daughter. The man married her. He became a father to her daughter. She became a mother to his son, and all would have been happy. Except that the woman, the stepmother, she began to grow jealous. She was convinced that her husband must love his child more than hers, and that he would leave his son a greater share of inheritance. She began to plot for a way to get rid of her stepson. One day when her daughter was at school, she called the little boy to come to her. "You have been such a good little boy. You deserve a treat. Reach into that chest and pull yourself out an apple." In the family's kitchen they had a great wooden chest in which they would keep the fruit from the season. The chest had a heavy lid. The stepmother lifted the lid and the little boy leant in to reach for an apple. "Reach further in. The best apples are at the bottom." And when the little boy was reaching right in, she slammed the lid shut, and his head came clean off. The stepmother then took the little boy's body and sat it in a chair. She took his head, placed it on his shoulders, and wrapped a scarf around his neck to hold it in place. When her daughter came home from school, she said, "Go call your brother for dinner." The little girl went up and called to her brother, but he sat in the chair and didn't respond. "Shake him if he won't wake up." The little girl shook her brother, and shook him, and his head rolled off his shoulders. The little girl ran, crying to her mother, Mother, I have shaken my brother to death." "Oh no. Oh, you terrible girl. Oh, you've killed him. We can't let anyone find out. Quick, help me hide the body." And so the stepmother and her daughter took the little boy's body and began to cut it up. They cut the flesh off the bones, put it into a pot, and boiled it up and turned the meat into sausages. All the while the little girl was crying and crying, and her tears fell down, so they didn't need to add any salt to the meat. When the sausages were prepared, the little girl took her finest handkerchief, gathered up her brother's bones, and took them outside to the juniper tree, where she buried them. Later, when the husband came home, he asked, "Where are my children? Where's my daughter? Where's my son?" The little girl came up, but she didn't smile. In fact, she didn't say anything. "My daughter is here, but she is so sad. Where is my son?" The stepmother came in, wringing her hands. Oh, that terrible boy. He has run away to the circus. You know, he's always talked about wanting to be an acrobat or a juggler. Well, the circus was passing by, and I took my eyes off him for 1 second, and he was gone." The husband was saddened that his son had run away. But it was true, his son had always wanted to join the circus. The family sat down to eat, and the husband declared that he had never tasted sausages quite so sweet or tender. But the little girl, she couldn't eat it all. And that night she went out to the juniper tree and wept over where her brother's bones were buried. High up in the branches of the juniper tree, there was a nest that had been empty for many years. But now suddenly, something was in it. An egg. And when the dawn broke, the egg cracked, and out flew the most beautiful bird. The bird stretched its wings, flapped them once, twice, 3 times, and set off. The bird flew until it came to the cobbler's shop. It sat outside, settled its feathers, and began to sing. My stepmother cut off my head, my body to my father fed. My sister lay me beneath a tree, now my soul is flying free. The cobbler came out and said, beautiful bird, sing to me again and I shall give you anything you ask for. Give me the little shoes that are in your window. The cobbler ran inside, brought back the little shoes and gave them to the bird. The bird sang its song one more time, then flapped its wings once, twice, 3 times, and was off. It flew to the garden of the Lord Mayor's house. The Lord Mayor was sitting eating his breakfast when he saw the beautiful bird settle down, settle its feathers, and begin to sing. My stepmother cut off my head, my body to my father fed. My sister lay me beneath a tree, now my soul is flying free. The Lord Mayor called out, beautiful bird, sing me your song again and I shall give you anything you want. Give me the gold chain from around your neck. The Lord Mayor took the gold chain off from around his neck and gave it to the bird. The bird sung its song one more time, and then with the shoes held in one talon and the chain held in the other, it flapped its wings once, twice, 3 times, and took flight. This time it went to the stonemason. The stonemason and his men were at work making a millstone. The bird landed, settled its feathers, and again began to sing. My stepmother cut off my head, my body to my father fed. My sister lay me beneath a tree, now my soul is flying free. The stonemason and his men called out, beautiful bird, sing to us again, and we will give you anything you ask for. Give me that millstone you have been making. The men lifted up the millstone and placed it around the bird's neck. And the bird flew off again, with the little shoes in one talon, with the gold chain in another, and with the millstone hanging about its neck. It flew back to that tree where it had hatched. It sat in the branches of the juniper tree and settled its feathers and began to sing. Da-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. The little girl who'd been crying beneath looked up. She saw the beautiful bird and she called to her father, 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 come out and see. The bird kept singing. Da-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum-ba-da-dum. The man came out and he called to his wife, Wife, come see this beautiful bird. Da-dum-ba-dum-ba-da-dum-ba-dum. The wife came out, but to her the bird and its song did not seem beautiful. They began to fill her soul with dread. The bird looked down at the 3 of them, opened its beak and began to sing. My stepmother cut off my head. It dropped the little shoes at the feet of the little girl. My body to my father fed. It dropped the gold chain around the neck of the father. My sister laid me beneath a tree. The stepmother looked up on the bird and said, "What do you have for me, bird?" "Now my soul is flying free." And the bird dropped the millstone right on her head. The bird then flew down, perched upon the shoulder of the father. The father took the little girl by the hand, and the three of them walked inside, leaving the three bodies buried beneath the juniper tree. Hello, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that telling of the juniper tree, a traditional fairy tale. The sun is shining today, and it's doing sort of weird things to the lighting on my monitor, so I appear to be glowing a bit more than I usually do. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Annie Keegan. Annie is a fantastic playwright who I have had the pleasure of working with on a number of occasions. A few years ago, we did a shadow puppet show where one of the stories was the juniper tree, and Annie was actually the one who came up with the lyrics set to the tune of Rose Red for the Birds song. So thank you, Annie. It was great working with you back then, and I hope we can work together again. I hope you've enjoyed this story here on Unlicensed Oral Arts. I'm Emily, and we'll be doing our next storytelling live stream on Thursday, the 29th. We generally try to do the last Thursday in the month. It'll be at 7 p.m. Irish time. So if you want to hear some live storytelling from me, Sinead, Naoise, Stephen, tune in for that. And as always, thank you for giving me your time.